What's up, One Way? So I decided that every Friday now I'm going to be here talking about Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts and growth with my students and also with everyone on YouTube. So this is going to be the first episode and we're going to talk about what should you do to get your blue belt. When it comes to promotion, man, it's a very hard conversation and we have a lot to talk about. This video is brought to you by Gold BJJ. And if you don't know Gold BJJ yet, if you want to get some nice gear, especially now that we're approaching the Black Friday season, go to goldbjj.com/Aly, A-L-Y, and you're going to get a great discount from myself and from Gold BJJ. So they're an amazing brand. I had an opportunity to work with them for a CJI. And to be honest, I was surprised by their quality. You know, I've been sponsored by most BJJ brands, and I have to tell you that Gold BJJ is up there. There are only few brands that I would spend my money on, and I would say Gold BJJ is one of them. Go check them out on their website, man, and I'm pretty sure you're not gonna regret it. Do your thing, man. So now, if you are watching this video, you're probably a white belt, adult that they are thinking about, okay, when should I get promoted? How long is it gonna take to get promoted? And then there are so many things to talk about. So the first thing we have to talk about is the definition of a blue belt. Second thing is what people usually do, like how gyms usually promote people. Because if you're a white belt, maybe you're not familiar with all the systems that are out there, right? So I'm gonna tell you how people usually do it, and maybe that's gonna give you some clarity on the topic, right? Number three, how long does it take on average, right? Because I can't really tell you how long it's going to take for you exactly, but I can give you a little number. I can tell you my story, and that's what we're going to do today. And then the requirements. And then, man, there is something that most people don't talk about is the instructor point of view. If I'm your coach, if I'm the one teaching you, what do I want to see from you, right? So first things first, definition of a blue belt, right? I would say that depending on where you're at, the culture around that decision will be different. I'll give you an example. If you're in Japan, all that power is on the coach's hand, right? You don't have the option. I mean, at least when I was growing up, there was not the option for you to even question such a thing. You know, you don't even question. You don't talk about it with your instructor, because if you do it, now you're gonna be sitting on that belt forever. Because for old school people, when you mention the belt, or when you sound like you feel that you deserve the belt, it shows some people that you're not humble enough. Because if you're thinking that you are that good, maybe you're not that humble. So some people think about that. So depending on where you're at, in the United States, you don't have to worry about that as much. You have some more freedom to talk about a few things with most instructors. And I feel that it shouldn't be, the extremes are bad. If your instructor is all the way old school, or don't ask me for anything, or you're gonna be penalized by that, I don't like that style. But at the same time, I don't think the students should be giving. I mean, there is a limit, right? There is a boundary where, okay, I'm a student. I go here. From this point, I don't go. It's not up to me. That's what I think. So, two, what people usually do. Okay, there are two main ways to do it. Some gyms, they have a test for blue belt. So pretty much they're gonna give you a path. They're gonna give you, okay, there are this number of techniques that you have to do and study and master and drill and master these things in order for you to get your blue belt. Even some people even do that online. They send you a whole bunch of videos. You have to practice that, and then you have to send the videos back, and they will decide if you deserve or not the blue belt. Some other gyms, the coach will simply watch you, and they're gonna compare you against you. They're gonna compare you against you a year ago or when you first joined the gym, and then they're gonna say, okay, this guy is ready or not, right, for the belt. And of course, there are some wrestlers. If you wrestle in high school or in college, you're not supposed to be a white belt. If you're a judo person, brown belt, black belt judo, I don't think you're supposed to be a white belt when you join a jiu-jitsu gym, because it's not fair. right? And then there are people that are very athletic. Of course, they're gonna be a little faster, which takes me to the next question: how long does it usually take? So that's easy to answer. It's gonna average you around a year and a half. Most people take within that range. Some people take forever to take to get their blue belt. Some people some people take 2 3 years. Some other people, in the other hand, they get their blue belts fast. Like if a wrestler comes into my gym and they want to compete, I'll give them the blue belt quick. It depends, but the average, I would say, between 12 and 16, 18 months. That would be the average. Definition of a blue belt, to be honest, if you've been training forever, like myself, like I was thinking about it, like we're in 2024, there's 10 years since I won my first world title. I won worlds as a purple belt in 2014. So I've been doing this forever, right? So now when I think about a blue belt, I think, okay, this is not a big deal. It's not bad to give a blue belt a little faster, but at the same time, it's not bad to hold the person on a white belt a little longer. So Patrick has a good analogy on promoting people to a blue belt, because we talk all the time. If you're one-way students, over here in my gym we have 3 instructors for jiu-jitsu. It's myself, Patrick, and Renee, and we have a lot of classes. So I'm not teaching every single student. Patrick is not teaching every single student, and Renee is not teaching every single student. And the stuff they learn, of course, they learn within their range because we have a curriculum. But we still don't know every single one of the students like that. So the way Patrick says it is like, okay, in order for you to be a blue belt, you should be able to hang with anyone that's not a jiu-jitsu person. You should be able to at least do something. You should be able to do well without having to work super hard in order to be a good blue belt. I'm talking about regular people. I'm not talking about you if you're 65, if you're older, or if your body doesn't work the same way. I'm talking about regular people. Okay, a power lifter coming to the gym, very strong. You should be able to take their back if you're a blue belt. You should be able to hang with that person. I'm not saying you should be able to win every single time, but you should be able to do something that you should be able to know something they don't know in order for you to do well against them. Some other people, they will say, okay, in order for you to be a blue belt, you have to pass this test, right? Like they said. The problem with the test is that you knowing how to perform a technique when they're not defending, you're just drilling the technique, doesn't mean that you will have the knowledge to use that to defend yourself against a jiu-jitsu person or a non-jiu-jitsu person. Just because you know how to drill that, it doesn't give you the permission to be a blue belt. I see a lot of gyms doing that way when they sell a lot of private lessons. Because think about it, if you have the money to buy a whole bunch of private lessons, you're gonna learn that thing quick. And if you have 23 techniques, that's a good package, for me to sell you a private lessons. And that's another reason that I don't like that way of promoting people, because I'm pretty much selling you the belt. I don't like that way. But I would say there is a benefit of that. Let's say you're in a city in the Middle East or in a different country where there's not a black belt to teach you jiu-jitsu. So at least you can get the videos and drill, and I believe in that case, it's fair because there's no jiu-jitsu gyms near you. If you're getting promoted online, it's not that bad. At least you're training jiu-jitsu. But if you have a jiu-jitsu gym in your city and you're getting that thing online, it's not realistic. But again, like I said here, it depends on the goal. Some people just want a blue belt. So if you just want a blue belt, you can just purchase on Amazon. But the symbology, the meaning behind it is for you to be able to hang. And then there is the instructor point of view, right? Like if you think about it, in most gyms, people don't want a blue belt from another gym to come and visit you and beat you up. Or maybe a white belt from another gym coming in, beating up your blue belts. That's the instructor point of view. Like I don't want a white belt to come here and give a hard time to my blue belts. So I rather wait a little bit, hold this guy back a little bit, and then if a blue belt comes, my white belt is going to beat them up. That sounds better than having a whole bunch of purple belts that can't hang with other people's blue belts. That's the point of view of the coach. The coaches are thinking those things, and they want people to stay a little longer because of that. And also, if you get promoted to the blue belt too fast, some people want to get promoted right away. You most likely will stay at the blue belt forever in order for you to be ready for the purple belt. So, and that's another strategy thing that coaches do. They will hold you forever as a white belt. So then your life as a blue belt is going to be shorter. You're going to get promoted much faster in the other belts because you're going to have the confidence. You're going to have the knowledge of jiu-jitsu, the knowledge of the techniques and transitions and everything. That's also another strategy that people use. I believe that, for regular people, if you're older, okay, it makes sense, for you to just be promoted by attendance. Also, there are different kinds of gyms. For example, in my gym, like I said, we have 3 different coaches. It's tough for me to just say, okay, this guy needs to be promoted right now if I don't know the person, if I'm not there teaching every single class for this guy. So we do the attendance here in my gym one way, but the attendance won't necessarily mean that you're going to get promoted to the blue belt. It means that you're going to get the stripes. Like if you're here long enough, you're going to get the stripes. And then as soon as you are 4 stripes, white belt, that's when we're going to start looking at you. Okay, when is this guy ready? Some guys here at my gym, they're going to get promoted before they get the 4th stripe, just because we know they're ready, but some other guys are a little harder to measure, especially because they don't come as often. So there are so many different variables, man, and different things for us coaches to look at that it makes very, very tough and hard to make that decision. However, it sounds cliche, but you should not be looking at your belt as a big deal, because it's not, first thing. And also, you don't want to be the blue belt that gets beaten by a white belt. Telling my story now. When I was a white belt, everybody back in Brazil, back home, there was one belt promotion a year. It would be in November or December. So I remember I started training in November. So in December, everybody got promoted but me and another guy. So only 2 guys didn't get promoted. Of course, I've been training for a month only. So I was very, very, very mad. I was frustrated. I wanted to get promoted. When people ask me if I train jiu-jitsu or not, I would say no. I'd say, no, I don't train jiu-jitsu. Because I knew the second question is always, what's your belt? So I never told anyone that I was training jiu-jitsu until I got my my blue belt. It was funny. When everybody else got promoted to the blue belt, I said to myself, okay, these guys are not going to beat me up. These guys that were white belts with me, bro, they're not gonna beat me up. I'm gonna do well against these guys, and maybe at the end of the year, I'm gonna be beating these guys up. You know, so a lot of these people quit. A lot of them left. Some of them have to, leave for a couple months. And when they came back, they were not as good anymore. But it was a good motivation. So I wanted to survive against most guys, against the blue belts. I was like, okay, maybe if I don't beat you, you're not gonna beat me either. I'm gonna be here surviving and trying to defend everything that you're trying to do. If I can attack you, I'm gonna at least be defensive enough in a good way that you're not gonna be able to beat me up and tap me out 10 times. And if you are tapping me out 10 times, tomorrow I'm gonna try to get tapped out only 9 times. So that was the goal. Oh, okay, this guy usually tapped me out 3 times. Today he only tapped me out once. So I'm winning. I'm getting better. That was my mindset. So then when I got promoted to the blue belt, everything else was easier and faster because I had these big monsters that I had to face as a white belt in my mind. So I ended up getting my black belt in 6 years, and it was pretty quick in compared to all these other people. A lot of them, they sue purple belts or brown belts. Don't look for the belt as a motivation. Look at find yourself an enemy, bro. Even though that's not a good word to say, I would like for you talking to my students, see the challenge, who is the most challenging guy, who offers you the hardest time in your room, right? So if you have that guy around your same weight division, around your age, and they beating you up, put a target on their back. You know, go every day to the gym thinking, okay, today I'm going to get something on this guy. And if he's tapping me 5 times a day, today's going to be only 3, maybe only 2. So I think that's a good motivation. And of course, we're still friends. You know, I'm not talking about you trying to hurt the person. I'm just talking about you being focused, you know, like having clear goals. Because the path is very important. That's why everybody's watching this video, because they want to have a better understanding of their own path, and they don't know yet how it's going to look like, you know, and how things are going to be and how long things are going to take. And that's going to make you show up more often, because the day you don't show up, they are. And the techniques they're going to learn on that day that you're not there, you're not going to know. And then they're going to use that against you. So you have to be there more often. You have to train a little more often. You know, so you have to do your research. You have to rest. On the weekends, you're not going to drink as much. You're not going to eat that bad, because you have a goal, you have a target. I like to think like that, and I would love for my students to think that way. That was something that I used to ask myself and tell myself too, is like, if you want to be the best in the world, first you have to be the best in your neighborhood. That was what I was telling myself. Maybe you have to be, if you want to be the best white belt in the world, you have to be the best white belt in your gym. I want to be the best white belt in my gym. What should I do? Maybe after practice, you should stretch 15 minutes. Maybe do 10, 20, 30 push-ups. Maybe you should go lift weights. Maybe you should go running. Maybe you should be taking supplements. Maybe you should be eating better, resting better, sleeping better, right? Doing your research, training more, compete. I don't like using competition as a thing, because I know people freak out about competition. But at the same time, man, every time you compete, you get 6, 7 months better in one day. Next thing you know, you're a blue belt. Tomorrow, you're going to be a blue belt. And then most likely, you're going to regret it, because you're going to say, man, I didn't compete as a white belt. Now I'm a blue belt, and things are much harder. Things are much harder. All the things that I had the chance to deal with as a white belt, I didn't. So now I'm going to have to learn how to compete as a blue belt, where everybody else is a little better. And that's another thing about white belts and blue belts. When I'm looking at a white belt and I'm thinking, okay, should I promote this guy? One thing that I'm looking at is also like their ability to use power when necessary and relax when possible. A brand new person, when they show up, usually they burning and spending unnecessary energy. They doing crazy things. They fighting when they're not supposed to be fighting, and they are going hard at all times. They flexing every single muscle of their body, and that tells me that that person don't know how to pace themselves. They don't know how to be patient. They don't know what they're looking for. You know, so there are so many little things that we're watching. That's why it makes it a very hard question to answer. But a blue belt will know better than a white belt when to relax and when to save energy, man, and don't, because sometimes fighting hard won't help you. Sometimes you have to wait. You have to breathe. You have to wait for that little gap, you know. Or sometimes you have to, if you want to go right, you have to go left first in order to create that reaction, you know. But then, if you're already thinking that thing, maybe you're already a blue belt, thinking about your purple belt, right? So it's tough, man. It's a tough question for us coaches. You know, when every time somebody asks me that, I say, "Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know how to answer right now, especially now that we only have 3 minutes. I have to teach another class, or I have to go home. I have to eat. You know, I hope I gave you enough knowledge and enough information for you to go about your blue belt. And it's confusing, man. It's hard, especially as a white belt, bro. You don't know anything. Everything hurts. You're sore, and you don't have a lot of time, and you have to go to work the next day, you know, and all of that. But trust me, it gets better. The more you learn, the more you're gonna like this thing, and because that's the thing too. The biggest thing you learn, the biggest lessons you learn, are not about jiu-jitsu, are about yourself. That was the video today. Thank you, Gold BJJ, for the merch and for the opportunity to promote you. And I see you guys soon. Thank you, One Way. Thank you, the students. I see you next Friday. Peace.